Hi and welcome to The Winning Factor. I'm Alan Aitken, and on this show each week I take a look at a couple of upcoming races in Hong Kong and we try to sort out an angle that might be a path to finding the winner. Well, Sunday racing again in Hong Kong this week, and the first race I'm going to take a look at is race 8, where our winning factor is down in class. This is a Class 4, 1400 metres, a fairly even group in my view, but Sugar Ball is back down to Class 4 after some handy recent form in the higher grade. With a Smile is only lightly raced and racing well. Horses like Across the Universe and Side Dreamer can be improvers with better barrier draws this time. And World Hero down the bottom of the weights gets a race set up that will suit. As I say, not a race of standouts, but the two I'm most interested in here are Sugar Ball and Sight Dreamer. Now Sugar Ball, he's been running well without excuse and without result lately in Class 3, not for a lack of opportunity and not for a lack of trying either. He's been handling it quite well. Let's have a look at his most recent run in Class 3 then. So this is race 610. He's in green and white colours at gate 3, and he's one of the best to begin. And in what you can see on the heat map was a modest early speed. Matthew Poon has Sugar Ball up with the leaders initially, then camped behind them through the race. He's in a great spot. The pace picks up around the circle and he gets a little bit further from them into the home stretch, but he's had a great run overall and gets his chance. But as you see in the home straight, he just isn't good enough, finishing 5th with some very decent young horses able to beat him home. So now Sugar Ball drops back to Class 4, a class where he's won 2 out of 7, and both of those wins coming earlier this season in Class 4, so he certainly looks placed to run well again. Now I think his main danger is a horse that many punters might overlook. On paper, his form doesn't look great, but Sight Dreamer ran a terrific race at his racecourse debut for 3rd over 1200 metres, and in his 4 starts since, he's been badly hampered by the way the races panned out. Not the least of which because his last 3 starts he's drawn gates 14, 12 and 14, and this is the most recent of them. This is race 645. He's in brown and white from the outside draw. Jumps well enough, but there's no real intent to go forward from that draw. But Jimmy Orman tries to find somewhere behind the pace for cover, but this is a nightmare. The slow tempo means that no gaps appear anywhere. Sight Dreamer is stuck out 4 wide and exposed, and he wants to over-race with all that daylight in front of him. Now also note here in the dark blue going up outside the leaders 3 wide, that's Across the Universe, more on him shortly. So Sight Dreamer's fate pretty much sealed a long way from the finish. He still manages to loom briefly at the 200 metres before that extra effort kicks in and he can't go on. And that has basically been Sight Dreamer's fate his last few starts. This time he draws gate 7, and perhaps that gives him his chance again if jockey Andrea Adzeni is able to give him a softer trip. It's still a tricky race setup. When we look at the map, there isn't going to be any assistance for him again from the pace. We don't look to have a lot of speed in this. In fact, the leader isn't immediately clear. But we did see Across the Universe prominent in that video when he was wide last start going forward. He's better drawn Sunday. World Hero led when he won over 1200 metres a couple of starts ago, and I would be surprised if Zach Purton isn't looking at this setup and deciding on a positive attitude with a Smile despite his very awkward draw. This is the kind of race where we might even see 1 or 2 tactical changes to try and take advantage of the race pace, but we won't need that from Sugar Ball, as we've seen him handy a number of times when well drawn, including that replay that we saw earlier in a similar soft pace. Now it's possible Sight Dreamer could be a little bit closer from a better draw, but he still has a few under him here that are going to make it tricky, and he's likely to be giving Sugar Ball a start in running. So to sum up what we have with the 2 horses I've identified, we've got a horse a little bit better drawn this time who might have better luck in Sight Dreamer, and another horse who's been racing admirably without excuse in a higher grade and now drops back down to Class 4. And regular viewers know this is an angle that I don't particularly like, the class drop. It's popular to put some emphasis on horses down in class, but to be frank, it's a long-term losing proposition. Now, when you look at this table here, you can see from the bottom line of this graphic since 2014, that's your situation if you're backing horses down in grade. Just above it, though, you can see that in this 2024-25 season, things have changed. It's been an unusual season. The strike rate for horses down in class has been higher, and even the performance versus market expectations has been in positive territory. Now, that's really unusual, and one of the big contributors to that situation has been trainer Cody Moe. He did a good job with class droppers in his first season, but this season we see him as the superior trainer in this area. So the tip from me in race 8 is Sugar Ball, his winning factor down in class. It's not normally an angle that I go for, but this season we have seen a better record from the horses dropping in class, and Sugar Ball's trainer Cody Moe, well, he's been leading the way. The other race I want to take a look at is race 9, where our winning factor is the pace. A Class 3, 1200 metres, and we've got Triumphant Moor and Module Construction at the top of the weights. They will have fans despite wide draws, but most of the serious chances are drawn inside. Pakistan Legacy goes from gate 11 last time to 3 this time. Blazing Wind and Super Infinity are racing well, and Majestic Express has not had things fall into place for some time and has had his share of excuses. Now, a key component to this race is that half the field met in a very similar race recently, where Module Construction was the winner ahead of Super Infinity. But Blazing Wind finished 4th in that race and Majestic Express 6th. And those are the two horses that I'm keenest on in our race on Sunday. So let's have a look at that replay. Now, there is a bit to look at here. Majestic Express, purple colours, restrained early, gate 9. Module Construction and Pakistan Legacy out wide begin well, with Module Construction going to the outside the leader, Young Superstar. But Zach Purton steadies on Pakistan Legacy. Blazing Wind in red began well in positions behind the lead, while Triumphant Moor is stuck wide in those yellow colours. Now, the key here is a slow first sectional that sets up the leaders to be tough to run down. But you'll see it also sets off Majestic Express back in the field, pulling very hard. Pakistan Legacy is back there too, and they both have the tempo against them. But that over racing is a real waste of energy that is going to hurt Majestic Express later. In the stretch, the leaders quicken and stick on too well, with Super Infinity and Blazing Wind close up behind Module Construction, but unable to bridge the gap on the leader. So that looks our major guide to Sunday's race, and you can make arguments for or against the runners there and their chances of turning the result around on Sunday. Now, Blazing Wind, I'm sure plenty of people thought he had his chance there and wasn't able to reel the leaders in from a good position, while Majestic Express, he was back in the field doing things wrong, over racing, so he had the tempo and his own temperament against him in the slow pace, and that dulled his finish. So you can certainly make arguments that he can improve. Now, Blazing Wind, well, as I said, maybe had his chance there, but since that race, Danny Shum has taken him back to the trials and tried him in blinkers for the first time. So this is that trial on May 2. He's in those red colours there, of course. Blazing Wind jumps well enough in the blinkers, but is a bit too keen in the new gear. There isn't a lot of pace on here, and he gets quite keen, proves a handful for Matthew Poon. But we see him in the home straight, and this is what the blinkers are on there to do, correct his ability to chase. And you can see he still picks up very well in the stretch, rounds up the other runners, and is quite comfortable winning at the finish. So the new gear, it's designed to sharpen him up, and I think it did that in the trial, maybe a little bit too much. Now, he's had that experience in the trial, and I think also on Sunday, one of the other key changes from the replay that we saw, I think we're going to get a better pace. Once again, we have Module Construction and Young Superstar as likely leaders. Triumphant Moore, once again, he'll be positive from a troublesome draw, and once again, he might have to sit wide. And I think we'll see Pakistan Legacy and Blazing Wind handy behind the leaders as well. But there is an extra horse here, Magic Hollow, who was not in that last replay that we saw. He has the apprentice Brittany Wong, a very light handicap, and he has very good pace. And I think that changes the tempo to something more suitable for horses who are inclined to travel a bit strongly, like we've seen from Majestic Express and also Blazing Wind in the blinkers. There's also a better draw for Majestic Express, so this time I think Andrea Edzeni doesn't have to drag him back early as he was ridden last time, but can just let him find his feet with the truer pace. So the tip from me in race 9, Majestic Express. His winning factor, the pace. Now he's had a lot of excuses, this horse, since winning impressively in Class 4 earlier in the season, but I think this is probably the best setup that he gets with an inside draw and, more importantly, with a proper tempo up front that should allow him to settle and finish off. Well, that's it from the winning factor this week. Good luck on Sunday. We'll see you next time.